Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and I'm here today to talk to you about The Grinning Man. That was really dramatic. So The Grinning Man is a new original musical now running in London at the Trafalgar Studios, and it is stunning. I saw it last week with my friend Rhiannon, who's a big fan of the show and had invited me to go and see it with her, and I've been meaning to see it for a while but kind of was putting it off because it's a bit of an eccentric musical and I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I fell absolutely in love with it. We actually have tickets for closing night and I'm hoping to sneak a cheeky second outing in before it closes as well. I have some notes here to share with you so I don't forget anything. But The Grinning Man is based on The Man Who Laughs, which is a novel by Victor Hugo, who you may know as the author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Les Miserables. It premiered at the Bristol Old Vic in 2016 and then moved to the Trafalgar Studios in London in, I think, December of 2017. So it's been open for a couple of months now and it is closing on April 14th, 2018. So make sure that if you can, that you get in to see it before then. Tickets are on sale on the Trafalgar Studios website as well as Today Tix, so be sure to check out the deals on there. And no, once again, I'm not sponsored by Today Tix. So The Grinning Man is the story of a man called Grinpain, and he is the Grinning Man himself. And he's kind of disfigured on the lower half of his face around his mouth, and it kind of follows his story and his adoptive father, Ursus, who adopted him at the age of 10 after he was orphaned, and Dea, a young blind girl that was also taken in that Grinpain saved when she was a baby in the snow. And it also, as part of that, it's set in kind of a fictional London, a London in a time that never was, called London, is I think how they say it. And it's kind of a alternate monarchy. King Clarence and his 3 children, the, hold on, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting this right because I have this here with me to check everything. So the Prince David Dirry-Moir, the Princess Angelica, and the Duchess Josiana. And I'm trying, just for the record, I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible. There will be minor spoilers, but mostly around the production itself, not the story. And it's a really beautiful love story. It's also a story, I think, about, you know, the Grinning Man coming into his own, Grinpain coming into himself, and also a story kind of about the people's reaction to him, and about government, and it's hard, honestly, to put into words. It also has this beautiful puppetry done by the same people who did the puppetry for Warhorse. There are puppets of Grinpain and Dea when they are young, and then there's also a puppet of a wolf that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Mojo is the coolest puppetry work I've seen, at least since Warhorse, and I think that Warhorse is like the pinnacle of puppetry in theater. So that's a high compliment coming from me. Actually, the show overall kind of reminds me of if you combined Warhorse, Phantom of the Opera, and Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812. It's the result would be The Grinning Man. Obviously, part of what you're getting from Phantom of the Opera is the story of a disfigured man and all of that. And Warhorse, the puppetry, is kind of what I'm taking from that. But it has a very similar vibe to The Great Comet. And if you have been watching my channel, if you read my blog, you'll know I'm obsessed with The Great Comet. It's one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. And this has the same somewhat immersive feel, the same eccentricity, the same kind of historical setting, but with a lot of, what is the word, anachronisms, I think is the proper word for that. So, you know, there's a lot of references, kind of costuming that's not actually historically accurate, but is kind of almost a fantasy historical feel to it. A lot of, you know, references that are probably too modern for the setting, which I really enjoy in a musical. It has that same, I don't want to say like dangerous vibe, but that's kind of it, that feeling that anything could happen and you're a little bit worried about what's going to come next because you feel so close to the action. It's not an immersive production in the way that Great Comet was, but they use the audience a lot. They come up into the aisles, they have a platform in the stalls that they come and use quite a bit. Which is really interesting if you're sat in that area. You can get up very close and personal. Luckily, Rhiannon had gotten us great seats, so we got quite up close and personal with several characters, actually. And we were quite close to the action, which was really cool, but also that kind of like, I don't know, I always, whenever I'm in a theater that has something like that, I feel a little bit like on edge, like I'm not really sure what's gonna happen, and I love that. It's got, and I think it's also the same kind of like dangerous feeling that a production of like Sweeney Todd has, that thing where it's set kind of somewhat in the underworld of London, to use a very over cliched term. But I just love it. See, I can't even properly put into words. I feel like I'm just rambling about how good it is. But the theater itself is beautiful. They've decorated the whole thing because a lot of it is set in Trafalgar Fair. And so it's all kind of decorated to reflect that. And the stage itself has these, I guess like painted things coming off of the sides of it that make it look, whenever the curtain's down, like the Grinning Man's smile, which is astoundingly cool. Like I said, there's also the platform that's set out into the audience. The whole thing, as soon as you enter the theater, you feel like you're in the world of the show, which I really enjoyed. They've got like, forget, Rhiannon studies technical theater, so she told me what these lights are called, but they're basically like fair lights, like kind of like fairy lights, that go through the audience. It's just absolutely an incredible theater experience, like worth seeing just to experience the actual theater and the set itself alone. The costume designer, I think it's Jean Chan is how you would say that, did a fantastic job. I think the costumes for it are spectacular. I really love Grim and Dea's outfits, but I also think that the ensemble costuming is really cool, and the way that they did Josiana's, which are these like, they're very funny because they're quite almost, I guess almost like French 1960s, 70s looking costumes, but like often there'll be just the underwear for it, and she's got these like fantastic, I forget what you call the, I really should know all of this, I used to be quite into historical clothing, but the side hoop things. But yeah, they're just really beautiful and like historically inaccurate in really cool ways, and I think that that's really great. Now, I want to mention a few of the acting performances, starting with, I had 3 understudies on the night that I went, and I want to give a shout out to each of them because they were all great. Mojo was being played by Jonathan Cobb, or he was one of the people playing Mojo, who is the wolf, which is one of the puppets, which was fantastic. He was great, I thought. You know, it's very funny to think about having understudies for the puppeteers, is that what you call them, as well, because they were absolutely phenomenal. Then King Clarence was being played by Leo also, and I thought that he was hilariously funny. King Clarence is honestly somewhat similar to, if you know Hamilton, the character of King George, kind of that flippant, over-the-top king who clearly has no regard for his people, and he played it really well, like it was funny without feeling overdone, which I thought was really great. But then David Bardsley was on for Ursus, and I thought he was phenomenal. He brought such a warmth to the character that there's a twist in the second act that you find out that I did not see coming, because he was so fatherly, and I just thought that he was the perfect Ursus. I'm hoping that one of the next times that I go, I'll get to see the lead, because I would like to see him as well, but I thought that I can't imagine anyone playing the character better than he did. I have this to consult about the names of the actors who played the characters because I don't want to get them wrong. I want to start with Ewan Black, who played Trelaw and Osric, which are kind of ensemble-y named parts, and I thought that he was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I suppose it's no surprise that I pick out Trelaw, who's kind of the revolutionary in the piece, to mention because, I mean, my blog is called Flower Crowns and Revolutionaries. I do love a good revolutionary, but I thought that he played it with such dignity and such, I really liked how well he differentiated the characters that he was playing. I just thought that he did such a great job. I really enjoyed his part in it. Next, I want to talk about Amanda Wilkin as Josiana because she was hysterically funny and a rather odd role. Josiana is kind of, I don't even know how to describe her. She's, in some ways, what she reminds me of is what the propaganda said of Marie Antoinette in the day. She's kind of having orgies. She's becomes obsessed with Grinning. She is kind of in a relationship with her brother, which there's that great comic connection. I mean, Helene and Anatole. But I just thought she did it so well. She was so funny, but she also has such a beautiful voice. Like, I was so blown away by some of the singing that she did in it. One of the other people that I really loved was Mark Anderson as David Dirry-Moir. Now, I think that Dear Moore is one of the best characters because, so the Grinning Man, Ursus is a puppeteer, and so they're putting on a show in Trafalgar Square, kind of the Grinning Man's story, and David goes to see it, and he becomes obsessed with it, and he goes over and over and over, and it's relatable. I was like, I know another fangirl when I see one, but I thought that he played it so well. Again, the whole cast is very good at achieving the humor without it feeling too forced, which I really admired. But I also think he has a lovely voice, like a lovely singing voice, and I was just very impressed. So I also want to talk about, I believe it's pronounced Sana den Besten. It's a Dutch name. I'm so sorry if I just butchered that. But she plays Dea. I remember her whenever she was the Fantine understudy at Les Mis, so it was great to actually get to see her in something, and she does so well. Dea is a blind girl, and I thought that the way that she played that was really interesting, really well done. I also liked, she has almost a Luna Lovegood quality about her, that she's kind of maybe not all the way there, which makes so much sense within the storyline, but she did it so well and so whimsically without feeling like, without losing the gravity of the character. And she also has an incredibly lovely voice. Her songs were some of my favorites, and I just thought that her chemistry as well with Louis Maskell, who plays Grinpain, was really lovely. And now, of course, coming to the lead of the show, Grinpain, the Grinning Man, Louis Maskell is absolutely outstanding in the role. He's just stunning. I actually was talking to a friend the other day that I can't decide if I'm more impressed by his voice or his acting, because he has a really unique voice. It's really lovely. The tone of it, the sound is quite unique. Kind of in the same way that I think Ramin Karimloo has a unique voice. But it's just stunning. Like, some of the stuff that he does vocally is incredible, especially considering he spends the entire show with something over his mouth, whether that's kind of the scarf that is over his mouth for a lot of it, or the prosthetic that he wears as well. I don't know how he sings through that prosthetic, but I'm so impressed with him. I also thought that his acting as Grinpain was just phenomenal, particularly, again, considering the fact that you can't see the lower half of his face. He was able to bring so much emotion through with his body language and his eyes. I thought that his, there's a lot of movement within the piece. Like, I don't want to say dancing, but movement, if that makes sense. And he was so good at that as well. And I just thought that he really brought Grinpain to life in such a cool, phenomenal way. That, yeah, I'm a huge fan now. Very, very well done. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit obsessed with the show already. I think it's so important to appreciate and to celebrate art that is innovative and that is trying something new, and I think that we don't see enough of that sometimes, especially in musical theater. And so also, now that The Woman in White is closed, I don't have a favorite running show in London as far as musicals go, so The Grinning Man can, I don't want to say it can take the place of The Woman in White, but it gives me a favorite musical to go see other than Les Mis. I do want to shout out a couple of these songs. Now, the music in this piece is really phenomenal. Again, musically, it reminds me a bit of Great Comet in the way that it is kind of a blend of different styles. There's some bits that are quite more traditional musical theater, some stuff that's a bit more, pop rock musical theater, some stuff that's really rather unique. And I just think that all of it is phenomenal. But a couple of songs in particular, Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorites, which is a song sung by Dea and Grinpain. It's a really lovely duet, and there's also some gorgeous puppetry work that goes on during it, and it's the kind of thing that you just want to listen to over and over. I Am the Freak Show is probably my favorite, which is one of Grinpain's performances as the Grinning Man, and it's just phenomenal. Like, I can't get it out of my head. It's what I came out of the theater singing. And then I think, actually, my favorite song from the show is probably Labyrinth, which is another song of Grinpain's. And it's just a fascinating song, kind of about him reflecting on his situation, on his past, on what he doesn't remember, and on his face, of course. And it's so, so beautiful. Now, there isn't a cast album yet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, really hoping that a cast recording gets made because I want to be able to listen to this beautiful music all the time. But whenever the show is back at the Bristol Old Vic, they did record a few songs and put them up on SoundCloud, and I will link that down below if you want to take a listen, and I highly recommend that you do because I've been playing them over and over and over because I just can't get over this music. I think that it's really beautiful. I think that I've been rambling on about this long enough, so I'm going to end it here. But let me know if you guys have seen The Grinning Man, and if you've not and you have a chance to get to London to see it, I highly, highly recommend it. If you'd like to see me talk about other shows that you'd like to see me do a review of, or anything else like that, any content that you'd like to see, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, because I would love, love, love to hit 300 subscribers. Otherwise, I will see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! I am the freak show. I am the freak show. Watch me smile. Watch me smile. So I'm not ready to play Grinning Man yet, but we're working on it.